Hello and welcome to our first episode of Ceramics con Corazon. I'm Mr. Gomez. I'm going to be showing you guys how to make pinch pots today. Pinch pots is the first fundamental hand building technique that we learn in this class because it's simple, it's easy to learn, and you learn how to smooth with it, you learn how to glaze, you learn how to carve with it. Super easy project to get down and get mastered in just a month, all right? For the month of September, this is what we'll focus on. Now, pinch pots can be turned into basically anything. Here we just have a basic pinch pot that the student was practicing glazes on from mixing white to red and what color they get in between. They're also experimenting with the carvings that they're doing. This month we are focusing on making maracas with our pinch pots, and we're doing that by combining two pinch pots together and making a nice little maraca. All right, it could get a little bit more complicated and make like a mug like this where we have a nice little design on the front, we have our handle on the side, and it's something that we're actually gonna functionally use. Now, it doesn't always have to be functional. It could just be something beautiful, like this sculptural piece. This was made by a student last year, and this is what we're gonna focus more on later on in the year. You may think, where's the pinch pot in this? Simple, it's actually the bottom. All of this huge little pinch pot started off as a pinch, and then they put slab, and then they got their coils and created the nice little octopus tentacles. There is 8, I did count them, but they also used a pinch pot right here on the head by sealing it in and making a nice little pinch pot like this. This is what I'm expecting for my students year 2, all right? If you are pushing out stuff like this year 1, more power to you. But if you're bringing me stuff like this, it's all good too. Remember, it's about the progress, not the perfection. I am not looking for perfection, and I want you guys to have fun with this, learn how to make these pinch pots, and become pros just like me. All right, I hope you guys like this video. Please like, subscribe, leave any comments, any concerns that you have, any feedback, and I'll see you guys in a bit. Have a good one. Back, guys, we are going to get started on our pinch pot. These are our material lists right here. All right, I'm going to start from the left to the right, and we're going to talk about what each thing is. This right here is our rubber rib. This is our metal scraper, our cleaning tool, our clay, our board, a sponge, and some water. Now, all of these are not essential to this tutorial. You can actually do this with just the clay by itself and some water. These are a little bit extra, a little bit more detailed stuff that we're going to be doing with it, and eventually in the next video we're going to be making maracas. Okay, but let's get started with this one first. All right, so we're going to start with our clay. Now, if you have any rings or any bracelets, make sure to take them off. There is sand in the clay, and that can affect your jewelry and all. So if you don't want it to get scratched, take them off. Stay safe and make sure everything is good. All right, we're going to start by making a ball. I like to get enough clay that it's big enough on my palm. If you have smaller hands, you're going to work with a smaller amount of clay and then eventually build yourself up to more clay. This is about a pound. What I'm going to do is I'm going to lay this ball on my hand. If you're left-handed, please do this in reverse. All right, I'm going to get my thumb and I'm going to insert it right into the middle, about where my knuckle's at, right there. All right, what we're going to do is we're going to use our index finger and our middle finger, and we're going to very gently press it down. All right, we'll be doing it almost like a pinch like that. Okay, like a crab. We're going to go down, press a little bit. You're going to see 2 indents, my index finger, my middle finger. We're going to move those fingers one over. All right, just like that. My middle finger is going where my index finger was at. And the reason I'm doing this is to have an even pressure all the way around my pinch pot where I don't have to really worry about if I press too hard, because I'll know since I just pressed into the other side doing the wall. What's going to happen is we're going to eventually get all the way around, which is what we want. There's going to be a big enough hole for both of our thumbs to fit through, and then we're going to hug the pot like this. When the pot is like this, on the inside, this is what I'm doing. I'm gently pressing, but also turning at the same time. All right, what this is going to do is I'm going to even out the surface of our pinch pot and make it nice and smooth. This is important for later on because we are going to scrape away all of the excess clay that we see. Now, I want you to start slow, right? Little crab walks. Don't go too fast, kind of like this. Eventually, you'll get to this where you can easily figure out the thickness of your walls. Right? You want whatever you do to one side, do to the other. If one side feels too thick, don't press down. If it feels too thin, especially don't press down. Press down on those thicker areas where you have less, the thicker areas where you have more control over it. Now, if you're seeing cracks like that, just leave them for now. You could, if they're bothering you, just push them like this. We'll eventually get to them and fix that, but just keep turning it like this. All right? We'll eventually get to a good size. Something like this is a good size pinch pot. A little on the thick side, but you could also move your hands like this and then very gently crab walk it all the way so you're evenly pressing on all the sides. I'm going to move my board to the side for now, and I'm going to show you why. Right, we've got a good size pinch pot. I'm going to try to get this nice and flat. You can already see I have a few little cracks right there, but we're going to easily fix this in a few seconds. Right, we're going to gently tap our pinch pot. If that kind of scares you to grab it like this and then gently tap it on a flat surface like the table, you could also flip it over like this put your hands to the side, hug the pinch pot, overlay your hands like this, put your thumbs at the top, gently lift up and gently tap down. What this is doing is it's creating a nice little flat lip for us to work with. In case you're turning this into like a mug or something, this is especially important. You don't want to cut anybody's lip when they're drinking from this angle, and you don't want your hand to get caught on anything or just make it look kind of weird if it's not flat. It'll make it look weird if it's not flat. We're going to just keep tapping until we're satisfied with it. I'm going to go back in, flatten this part with my fingers, and then gently tap it just to get a good shape. Now, because we tapped it, we have this extra clay right here, and I'm just going to force it down. I'm just going to use my big thumb and start to press this down, blend it in, and get rid of some of that excess clay that built up on the inside of our pinch pot, okay? I can kind of start to see where I went too thin right here on these two sides. This is fixable. I'm just going to press a little on this side, spread out my clay a little bit, and kind of get a feel of where my thickness is at. Now, because I did that, I'm going to double tap it again just to make sure everything's nice and even, and just kind of play around with my clay shape and make sure that everything looks good. All right, smooth this out. Now, good for now, but we'll get back to it. If you dip your finger in the water and tap it a little bit, you can get rid of those little cracks very easily. All right, at the end, we're going to start using this sponge to get it nice and smooth, but for now, let's use our finger just to spread that water around. Now, you don't want to use too much water on this clay. Make sure you're working with plastic clay and not something that's leather hard or something that is drying out on you. So make sure you use that fresh clay. We're going to flip it over, and we're going to start to get rid of all of these imperfections, all these little bumps that we see on the side. And the way we do that is we're going to grab our metal scraper and hold it like this. We're going to use 4 fingers, press in with our thumb, just like that, to create a little divot in which we can scrape clay up and get rid of any excess clay. All right, it's going to go like this. We're going to start from the bottom, and then we're going to gently scrape up. All right. Now you want to keep this clay to the side. Okay. Now this is getting stuck on the table, so that's what our board is for, so that it doesn't stick to the table. You're going to go like this, and you can also turn your board so you don't have to keep turning your actual pinch pot. Because this board is so nice and absorbent of the water, I can just pick up my pinch pot without having it stick so often. I'm just going to keep scraping it with a metal scraper. I'm saving those scraps in case I see a dent or I've created a dent that's way too big for me to fix. I am going left to right and up and down just to make sure I get every little bump out, and I am going to be satisfied with my overall shape of my pinch pot and the smoothness. I think smoothness is the one thing we all need to work on. I hate doing it, but it's something that we must get done so we can have something that is really nice and smooth, something beautiful and elegant. Even though it's so simple, everybody's going to be looking at that smoothness. All right. And if you do have a divot, kind of like this one at the top, what you're going to do is break off a little piece, just a little thin piece like that, dip your thumb in some water, overlay it like that, press down on it a little bit, and use that metal scraper to blend in that clay seamlessly, okay? All right, don't focus too much on the cleaning up right now. We're just getting it to the point where we're trying to scrape and make everything look even. We'll go back and fix those imperfections and eventually get it nice and smooth and ready for bisque firing. All right, we're going to stop right there. Now, when you turn it over, you're going to notice that there is some imperfections on this lip now that we didn't have before. Because we're scraping and removing that clay, we're creating these little divots. Easy fix. You can either get your finger, dip it in some water, all right, and then blend it in with your finger. My favorite technique when you don't have a sponge nearby and you're too lazy to get up. All right, fix those little imperfections by adding the clay back in. All right, get it nice and smooth, turning. All right, you want to make this smooth, right? If this is sharp, it's going to cut somebody's lip open if they're trying to drink from it and there's like a little piece of crumb or something. And that's not good. We don't want that. If you do have nails, this modeling tool with this type of almost thumb looking thing is a great way to smooth things out. You can even tuck it into your sponge and start smoothing out like that if your nails are too long, especially if you have those acrylics. Right, you're going to grab your sponge like this, and you're going to want to start to clean it up, right? On the inside, on the outside. I'm going to flip it over for now, and what I'm going to do is get it a little bit wet so that we can start to use this rubber rib. What that's going to do is it's going to very gently get rid of any little thing that we didn't catch with the metal scraper. And the great thing about the rubber rib is that it's super flexible, but it's more forgiving than the metal one. The metal one is more for you to remove those big chunks, get rid of big things that this one will not. Right? And it leaves less of a mess for you to clean up afterwards, and it just makes it so nice and smooth. Now, I am starting from the bottom to the top. If you don't do that, you might be leaving little streaks on the side, but look at how smooth that is. Once you put that glaze on there, you're going to have a nice mirror finish, and it's going to look really, really nice. Again, I'm going back in, smoothing with my sponge. If you don't like those lines that the sponge is leaving, make sure you go back in there and just smooth with your finger, all right? Okay. I'm going to just check on the overall shape of my pinch pot. Make sure your hands are a little bit drier than mine, right? And I'm just going to make that little flat bottom so it doesn't roll around on the table. Now, you can use these for salsas, you can use these for jewelry holders, you can use them for whatever you want. You can manipulate the shape and make it into a heart or a strawberry, or you can keep it like this, and the details can be when you paint, right? You can do it like a watermelon, any of that good stuff. In the next video, like I said, we're going to be doing maracas, and we're going to learn how to put 2 of them together and get that little rattle in there. But for now, I want you guys to focus on this, right? If you want to carve in your details, this is where the magic tool comes in, or the cleaning tool. I want you guys, before you put these on the shelf, to put your locker number, right? Like we talked about, please make sure if yours has 3 numbers, make sure you underline the number, right? Because this could either be 100 or 1. And in my case, my locker number is 1. So if I'm putting 100, I'm confusing Mr. Gomez, and he cannot put it back in your locker when it's ready for you to start glazing. All right, so put that number on there. If you want to start adding details, you most certainly can. Now there is a knife side of this magic tool, which is very sharp. We can do straight lines like this. We can turn it to the side and carve like that. We can use the carving side, and same thing. We can carve down with it and remove the clay like that. I usually go like this and remove the clay just so it doesn't create crumbs. These are crumbs right here. If you can easily scoop them out, go ahead, but do not leave those crumbs in your piece. You're going to want to go back and smooth out with a sponge like this, creating a nice flat surface so you're not creating sharp edges where you can potentially cut somebody if they pick this up. Once the glaze is on there, that becomes basically glass, and it becomes very, very sharp, right? So carve this way, or you can create indent. But remember, these are magic tools. You can literally create different shapes, right? Different textures. You can use this side, right? Don't let your imagination become something that is not your useful tool, right? Make sure you use that imagination, use the different tools that you have in your box, and create those different textures, those different things that you guys can do. And even some of this stuff creates really nice effects. One of my favorite things to do with this steel scraper is to scrape it like that and create a nice little texture with this leftover clay. I learned this from our high school teacher over there at our high school here, and she taught me how to score and slip this on here and just kind of add it like a detail. Again, if you're going to be adding stuff like this, yes, you still have to score and slip, but make sure you are making those little cuts. And remember, scoring and slipping is just a random scratch, all right? It should not look like a pattern. What you do to one side, you must do to the other, and then your water is going to work as your slip. We are not making our own slip yet, but once we do, yes, 100% you guys can use that slip. And just for tutorial purposes, I'm just going to dip my finger in here and go like that. Very gently lay it on there. You can always use a brush to get into these little details, or you can use your tool to get rid of those scoring marks that you made on the actual pinch pot. All right, how you design this is up to you, but experiment with the tools you have. Wait till it's leather hard if you really want to get in there and start to make some really cool designs. Now, this is your pinch pot. You can turn it into whatever you want. It could be a decoration of where you're testing out textures on a piece. 100% I'll take that. It could be something where you are trying to make an ombre effect, cutting into some stuff. Now, I use this for pencil shavings when we have the hand ones. You guys could create some sort of mug with it. Now, this one's really thin, but super easy to make. Again, we're going to be making those pinch pots that are turning into maracas, and this is just 2 of them together. You can see right there that I actually used the tool right here to get this nice little texture and scored and slipped these little guys on there. They're not coming off. This is solid on there, scored and slipped. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed the tutorial. I hope you surprised me with some of the really cool things that you guys are going to make, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya. Woo, super fast, pretty easy, kind of therapeutic, right? Pinch pots are so much fun to do. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you give me some feedback if I need to work on anything. But if you don't, that's okay too. Leave me any comments. I'll get to them as soon as possible. I hope you guys join us for our next tutorial on maracas, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one.